War has always been a part of human civilization. From the battles of ancient empires to the high-tech warfare of today, strategy has played a crucial role in deciding who wins and who loses. While technology has changed, replacing swords with guns and chariots with tanks, the core tactics of warfare remain surprisingly similar. Throughout history, military commanders have developed countless strategies to outsmart, outmaneuver, and outlast their enemies. Some focus on brute force, while others rely on deception, speed, or psychological manipulation. The greatest battles in history were not just won by superior numbers, but by superior strategy. In this video, I will explain every major war tactic, how they work, and real examples of when they were used to turn the tide of battle. From ancient ambushes in the dense forests of Germania to lightning-fast tank attacks in World War II, we will explore the tactics that have shaped the world. Stay with me until the end to discover which strategy is the most effective, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Ambush, the power of surprise. Throughout history, some of the greatest victories have been won before the battle even began. When an army successfully ambushes its enemy, the fight is often over before the defenders have a chance to react. An ambush is a surprise attack where soldiers hide and wait for the enemy to enter a vulnerable position before striking suddenly and decisively. The key to a successful ambush is preparation. It relies on using terrain, deception, and patience. Ambushes in history. Battle of the Teutoburg Forest, 9 AD, one of the greatest ambushes in history, where Germanic tribes annihilated 3 Roman legions. The Romans, led by General Varus, marched through a dense forest in Germania, unaware that thousands of warriors were hidden in the trees, waiting to attack. When the assault began, the Romans had no space to form proper battle lines, and within days, almost 20,000 Roman soldiers were slaughtered. This defeat stopped Rome from expanding further into Germany. The Vietnam War, 1955 to 1975, the Viet Cong, vastly outnumbered and outgunned by U.S. forces, used ambush tactics to deadly effect. They dug tunnels, planted hidden traps, and attacked at night, striking quickly before disappearing into the jungle. These hit-and-run tactics exhausted American troops, making the war unwinnable for the U.S. Why ambushes are so effective. 1. Panic and confusion. Soldiers caught in an ambush often don't know where the attack is coming from. 2. Terrain advantage. The attackers can use mountains, forests, or even urban ruins to stay hidden. 3. Smaller forces can defeat larger armies. With good planning, a few hundred soldiers can wipe out thousands. Even in modern warfare, ambushes are widely used. Special forces and guerrilla fighters rely on ambush tactics to disrupt enemy supply lines, capture high-value targets, and cause psychological terror. Flanking maneuver, the art of outmaneuvering the enemy. A direct frontal attack is often the worst possible strategy. It forces soldiers to charge head-on into an enemy's strongest defenses. Instead, the smartest military leaders use the flanking maneuver, attacking from the sides where the enemy is weakest. Flanking means moving part of your army around the sides, or even behind, the enemy while the main force distracts them with a frontal attack. This creates chaos, traps the enemy between 2 attacking forces, and often leads to a complete rout. Historical examples. Battle of Cannae, 216 BC. The Carthaginian general Hannibal faced a massive Roman army that outnumbered him almost 2-to-1. Instead of fighting head-on, he let the Romans advance into the center of his formation, making them think they were winning. But as they pushed forward, Hannibal's cavalry and infantry swept in from the sides, completely surrounding them. It was one of the bloodiest defeats in Roman history, with over 50,000 Roman soldiers killed. D-Day, 1944, World War II. The Allied invasion of Normandy was not just about storming the beaches. While soldiers landed on the coast, paratroopers were dropped behind enemy lines, cutting off German reinforcements. This massive flanking attack allowed the Allies to gain a foothold in France and push towards victory. Why flanking works? 1. Breaks enemy formations. Soldiers under attack from multiple sides lose discipline. 2. Causes panic. The fear of being surrounded often leads to surrender. 3. Maximizes casualties. Trapped armies have no way to escape, leading to mass destruction. Modern armies still use flanking maneuvers, whether with tanks, helicopters, or special forces, raids. Scorched Earth, destroying everything. Not all military strategies are about fighting. Some are about denying the enemy everything they need to survive. The Scorched Earth tactic is one of the most devastating war strategies in history. How it works: burning fields and crops so the enemy has no food, destroying villages, bridges, and supply centers to slow down the enemy's advance, poisoning wells or killing livestock so the enemy has nothing to drink or eat. Most famous examples: Napoleon's invasion of Russia, 1812. The Russians burned their own cities and villages to prevent Napoleon's army from finding food. When winter arrived, Napoleon's soldiers starved and froze to death. World War II, the Soviets used scorched earth tactics against the Nazis, destroying everything as they retreated. Why it's effective: 1. Forces the enemy to retreat or starve. 2. Makes long-term occupation impossible. 3. Psychologically weakens the enemy, making them feel hopeless. Even today, scorched earth tactics are used in modern warfare, often by retreating armies who want to deny their enemy valuable resources. Blitzkrieg, the lightning war. One of the most famous war strategies in modern history is Blitzkrieg, or lightning war. It was a tactic designed to overwhelm the enemy as fast as possible, preventing them from organizing a proper defense. Unlike traditional warfare, where armies move slowly and take time to secure each position, Blitzkrieg relies on speed, coordination, and shock tactics. The idea is to strike so quickly and with such force that the enemy collapses before they can react. How Blitzkrieg works: 1. Airstrikes and artillery. First, planes and artillery bomb enemy positions, destroying key defenses and spreading panic. Second, tank divisions break through. Fast-moving tanks smash through weak points in the enemy's line, creating holes in their defenses. Third, infantry and mechanized units follow. After the tanks break through, infantry troops quickly move in to secure captured areas. Fourth, encirclement. Instead of fighting a long, drawn-out battle, the attacking army surrounds the enemy and cuts off their escape routes. Famous examples: Germany's invasion of Poland, 1939. The world saw the power of Blitzkrieg for the first time when Nazi Germany invaded Poland in just 5 weeks. The fall of France, 1940. Blitzkrieg tactics allowed Germany to defeat France in just 6 weeks, bypassing their strongest defenses. The Gulf War, 1991. The US and its allies used a modern version of Blitzkrieg, combining air power, fast-moving tanks, and highly trained infantry to push Iraqi forces out of Kuwait in just 100 hours. Why Blitzkrieg works: 1. Speed confuses the enemy. By the time the enemy understands what's happening, they are already losing. 2. Avoids trench warfare. Instead of slow, bloody battles, Blitzkrieg keeps the war fast and mobile. 3. Psychological shock. The sudden, overwhelming attack causes panic and demoralization, leading to quick surrenders. However, Blitzkrieg is not invincible. If an army is well prepared, has strong fortifications, or has superior air power, they can slow down the attackers and force a longer battle, which often weakens the Blitzkrieg strategy. War of attrition, winning by wearing down the enemy. Not every war is won by fast attacks. Some battles are won by outlasting the enemy, a strategy called a war of attrition. Instead of focusing on quick victories, this tactic drains the enemy's resources, supplies, and morale until they can no longer fight. A war of attrition is like a long, slow battle of endurance. The goal is not to win immediately, but to make sure the enemy loses more than they can replace. How a war of attrition works. 1. Massive battles over time. Instead of quick, decisive strikes, both sides fight in long, drawn-out battles, trying to exhaust each other. 2. Destroying supplies, bombing supply lines, cutting off food, and preventing reinforcements can slowly choke an army into surrender. 3. Psychological pressure. Soldiers and civilians become exhausted, leading to mutinies, riots, or demands for peace. Famous examples: World War I, 1914 to 1918. The Western Front became a massive war of attrition. Soldiers lived in trenches for years, launching endless attacks that caused millions of deaths. The Siege of Stalingrad, 1942 to 1943. Nazi Germany's attack on the Soviet Union turned into a brutal war of attrition. Millions of Soviet soldiers and civilians died, but they outlasted the Germans, forcing them to retreat. The Iran-Iraq War, 1980 to 1988. This war lasted for 8 years with no clear winner. Both sides suffered huge losses, and in the end, both countries were too exhausted to continue. Why a war of attrition works. 1. If you have more resources, you will win. Countries with larger armies, better industries, and more supplies have an advantage. 2. Time becomes your weapon. The longer the war lasts, the more the enemy suffers. 3. It breaks morale. When soldiers and civilians lose hope, they demand an end to the war. However, this strategy is also incredibly destructive. It leads to mass casualties, economic collapse, and long-term suffering. Wars of attrition are costly and brutal, often leaving both sides weak. Even the winner. War is not just about who has the biggest army or the best weapons. It's about strategy. Some tactics rely on speed and surprise, like Blitzkrieg and ambushes. Others focus on breaking the enemy's will, like Scorched Earth and wars of attrition. Throughout history, military leaders have adapted and combined these strategies to achieve victory. But no strategy is perfect. Every war brings new challenges and counter-tactics. So now I ask you, which war tactic do you think is the most effective? And which one do you think is the most terrifying? Let me know in the comments.